First of all, let's pay homage to the Supreme Buddha. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. May the Noble Triple Gem bless you all. Today also we are going to start yet another Dhamma discussion. So last week that we have discussed about the effort, the factor of effort of enlightenment, the Virya Sambodhanga. So today we discuss about 11 factors which help to develop the Virya Sambodhanga. So today we are going to discuss, we are going to learn about the factor of enlightenment of rapture, the Piti Sambodhanga, and the factors that helpful to develop this particular Bodhanga we are going to learn today. So we are going to discuss the page number 187 onwards. Let's see what are the factors about the factor of enlightenment of rapture, the Piti Sambodhanga. There are amongst things that are the basis for the enlightenment factor of rapture. Frequently giving wise attention to them is the nutriment for the arising of the unarisen enlightenment factor of rapture, and for the fulfillment by development of the arisen enlightenment factor of rapture. In Pali, Atti Bhikkave Piti Sambodhangattahaniya Dhamma Tatta Yoniso Manasikara Bahulikaro Ayamaharo Anuppannasva Piti Sambodhangas Uppadaya Uppannasva Piti Sambodhangas Bhiyo Bhavaya Paripurya. So what here says is that the Yoniso Manasikara, the frequently giving the wise attention, is the one of the main factors to develop the rapture. Here, rapture itself is the Dhamma which develops the factor of enlightenment of rapture. Rapture is a great solace for beings. He who obtains it once wishes to gain it again and again. Therefore, rapture gained first is a cause for the arising of it again and again. Wise attention of the development of the factor of enlightenment or rapture means contemplating in such a way that rapture arises. So developing the rapture, arising the rapture is also one of the main reasons to develop it again and again. Once the practitioner experience the rapture, it will be helpful to him to gain rapture again and again, and along with the wise attention, the Yoniso Manasikara is also helpful to development of arisen rapture. Rapture is twofold. They are worldly and unworldly. Of them, rapture that arises towards gains, wealth, sons and daughters, etc. is worldly rapture. Referring to the monastic, whatever rapture arises pertaining to the four requisites of devotees, of disciples, etc. is worldly. That never leads to the attainment of Nibbana. That is not concerning in the section of the factor of enlightenment. Here we talk about unworldly rapture that arises at the Dhamma of thinking the great virtues of the Buddha, Dhamma, and the Sangha. One has to think of the virtues of the Buddha, etc., to gain it. Even the greatness of the unworldly rapture should be contemplated. Thinking in such a way is the development of wise attention, or the factor of enlightenment. So there are two folds of happiness or the rapture in the teachings of the Buddha, the worldly rapture and unworldly. So worldly rapture means a laukika piti or sukha, which belongs to the world, and unworldly means the spiritual happiness or immaterial happiness, niramisa piti, or sometimes it refers to the lokuttara piti. So what is worldly rapture is having the worldly things like wealth, fame, gain, sons and daughters, etc. The monastics also have some worldly rapture, like requisites, maybe comfortable monasteries, or the basic needs, or the devotees, well, the devotees or the disciples. They are also a worldly rapture for the monastics. So this, the unworldly rapture comes with the practice of the spirituality. As mentioned here, the practice of the Buddhanussati, recollection of the virtues of the Buddha, and the Dhamma, Dhammanussati, and the Sanghanussati, like these meditative practices can bring this unworldly rapture or the happiness, which is helpful to develop all the spiritual qualities, including one we are discussing here, the rapture, the piti. In the commentary, there are 11 types of causes for the arising of the factor of enlightenment of rapture. So in the commentaries, in the Atua, there are 11 factors have been mentioned to develop this bojjhanga called rapture or the piti. Repeatedly recollecting the great virtues of the Buddha, repeatedly recollecting the great virtues of the Dhamma, repeatedly recollecting the great virtues of the Sangha, repeatedly recollecting one's virtues, repeatedly recollecting one's generosity, repeatedly recollecting one's confidence, etc., that helps to be reborn in Deva realms. In Pali, called Devatanussati. Repeatedly recollecting one's calmed defilements, Upasamanussati. Disassociating from the evil persons, associating with the gentle and gentle-hearted persons, contemplating on the discourses which are conducive to confidence, the mind inclined to the factor of enlightenment of rapture. So these are the 11 factors that are helpful to develop the rapture. Everybody needs rapture. For the great practitioners, what causes for the rapture of the ordinary persons, such as a spouse, children, relatives, friends, lands, fields, clothes, and ornaments, money, vehicles, titles, positions, etc., are quite unessential, like dreams or reflection on the mirrors, or flashless bones. They are for them dangerous things like swords, daggers, knives, guns, or embers. Or like wild elephants, wild buffaloes, tigers, bears, cobras, or vipers. They are for them repulsive objects like the cesspits. We can understand how the great sages become afraid of such sensual pleasures from the birth story of Bisa. So, what he explains is those who practice spirituality quite strictly, they find the worldly pleasures, as mentioned here, as huge danger for them. So they don't see like the worldly people see, understand about these worldly pleasures. They see these worldly pleasures as very danger for their spiritual practices. So there's a story called Bisa Jataka, the birth story of lotus roots, which explains about how the monastics see the worldly happiness and their attitudes towards the danger of the worldly happiness and the importance of the spiritual happiness. Let's see the Jataka stories. The Jataka story. Once upon a time, our Bodhisattva, the great, was born in Varanasi in a Brahmin family with a great wealth of at least 8 billion. He was named as Mahakanchana. He had 6 younger brothers and 1 sister. Since they were not immersed in sensual pleasures, they all did not get married. Until their parents were alive, they supported their parents, and after their death, they gave away all wealth inherited to them from their parents and went into the woods of the Himalayas to practice meditation. One man, one maid, and one friend also went with them. Altogether, there were 11 persons. In the woods, they built a hermitage, and they all became ascetics and lived at a beautiful place next to a lake by practicing meditation and asceticism under the guidance of the Bodhisattva. While they were collecting fruits and leaves, etc., in the woods, they were talking about something related to what they had seen or done before. For them, the forest also became like a village. But the Bodhisattva was not happy with this behavior. Having seen this, he pondered, those of us who came here abandoning more than 8 billion of wealth were not to lead the kind of life collecting fruits with greed like this. This is certainly not suitable for us. I should let others to practice at the hermitage while I go along to the woods and collect fruits and leaves, etc. Thinking in such a way, he announced it in the evening to the assembly. Then the others said, Venerable Sir, we all went forth because of you. You better practice here, and our younger sister and the maid also may stay here. We 8 can go to the woods from time to time and collect fruits and leaves for us. The great Bodhisattva agreed with them, and from that time they started to do so. One by one, they went to the woods and collected fruits. When they brought the fruits, they were distributed into 11 parts on a stone slab and rang the gong to announce others to come and take their own portions. He himself takes his part and goes to the cell. In this manner, they all practiced meditation. Later on, they stopped plucking and collected fruits but brought lotus roots from a lake and consumed the lotus roots instead of fruits, and they practiced well and developed jhana. They all were virtuous, and with the power of their virtues, even the palace of the head of the god Sakra trembled. Therefore, Sakra himself was always concerned about them. As long as the internal evil nature had not come out into function, everybody is a virtuous one, whether one is good or bad, virtuous or worthless, can be understood only when something happened to gush out the internal such inferior qualities. In the forest, such things are rare. Therefore, it is quite difficult to understand the good or bad qualities of the forest dwellers. Since there were no such bad qualities to be seen among them, the Chakra, the head of gods, did something to gush out such bad qualities concealed inside of them. For 3 consecutive days, he hid the portions of the lotus roots of the great Bodhisattva. The first day of hearing the gong, the Bodhisattva went to take his share, but it was not on the block of stone. Thinking perhaps they must have forgotten to share with me today, he became silent. For the second day, he thought, maybe because of one of my faults, they must have not shared with me my share today. For the third day, thinking the importance of asking forgiveness. If done anything wrong, he hit the gong and assembled them all and inquired the reason why his share of lotus root was not available for the 3 days consecutively. Then those who brought lotus roots for the last 3 days said that they kept his portions on all the 3 days on the block of stone which was used as the table. Though you say that you kept, I could not get it. Then there must be a thief here. Such things are not suitable for the ascetics. The person who has done this should be known. The Bodhisattva pronounced. They all became quite sorrowful and sympathetic of the curious situation arose among them. Chakra, the head of gods, by this time, with the intention of understanding their nature, stayed right there invisibly. Then the older brother of the Bodhisattva, Upakanchana, rose from his seat and, with the permission, declaring his purity, said, in verse and cursed, Brahmin, if anybody has taken your portions of lotus roots, may he receive the horses, cattle, gold, silver, and wives and children as he wishes. The person who has attachment to horses, cattle, and other properties enjoys them, but when he loses them, becomes more or less sorrowful because of separation from them. That is one of the evil that happens because of pleasurable things. There are many more sufferings that arise because of them. That is why this ascetic cursed the thief to gain such things. According to the ascetics, there are no more evil than having such things. Those who were listening to his curse said, please, sir, do not say so. Your curse is so fierce. And they plunged in their ears with their fingers. As it was so unbearable, after cursing in this manner, he sat on his seat. Then the second brother rose from his seat and declaring his purity and cursing to the thief said, Brahmin, he who has taken your lotus roots may adore with flowers and sandal from Kasi country. May he have many children. May he have great attachment to the sensuality. Thereafter others also cursed the thief and they wished as follows. Brahmin, one who has stolen your portion of lotus roots may be a farmer with a great wealth and fame. May he have many children. May he be a real householder. May he have all sense gratification like forms. May he be person doing all mean things, even at the time of old age. Brahmin, he who has taken your lotus roots may be Kshatriya, king's clan, who oppresses others. May he be king of kings, who has a great power and fame. May he be there, may he be the lordship of all earth. Brahmin, he who has taken your lotus roots, may be a Brahmin astrologist, full of lust. May he be honored by the king with full of fame. Brahmin, he who has taken your lotus roots may be one who learns Veda. May all people contemplate him as a virtuous one. May he be honored by the people in the state. Brahmin, he who has taken your portion of lotus roots, may he consume a village which is dense with men, wealth, fire, woods, and water, and prosperous one like gifted by Sakra. May he die with attachment to the village. Brahmin, he who has taken your portion of lotus roots may be a chieftain of the village. Chieftain of the village. May he enjoy in the midst of friends with singing and dancing. May he not face any tragedy from the king. This is the curse of the younger sister. So far, all the 6 brothers explains their purity, and everyone cursed those who have taken the lotus roots may have all the sensual pleasures as they wish. Brahmin, if any woman has taken your portion of lotus roots, may she be kept as the chief consort of 12,000 women of the great king who has conquered all the earth. May she be the leader of all women. Then the maid did her curse as follows. Brahmin, he who has taken your lotus roots, may she eat tasteful foods among the ascetics. Without any hesitation, may she be deceitful with gain. The maid made this curse in this manner because eating before the masters is one of the most unpleasant, embarrassing things for maids. Then they were living in the tree of the monastery who had come to that place by the time cursed in this manner. Brahmin, he who has taken your lotus roots may live in a huge temple. May he be a renovator in the city of Kajangala. May he finish one window a day. The Deva in the time of the Buddha Kassapa was a chief incumbent of a temple in the city of Kajangala where he had worked hard for renovation. Contemplating on that, he cursed in such a way. By this time, there was an elephant that was caught by people, and now as it was released, had come to them. He from time to time came to respect the ascetics. The elephant too did his curse in this manner. Brahmin, he who has taken your lotus roots may there with traps from 6 points. May he be taken from the attractive woods to the kingdom. May he pierce with needles from which the roots of ears are pierced. Then there was a monkey who was escaping from a gypsy and had come there. He too wanted to make his curse in this manner. Brahmin, he who has taken your lotus roots may be able to go to the front of the snake with the garland of Ilavara, adorned with silver rings in the ears and beaten by the sticks. The monkey says this because of suffering that he had to undergo during the time that he was in the hands of the gypsy. In this manner, they all 13 cursed, and then the great Bodhisattva, thinking that they might assume that he was untruly and pretends that his portion was lost as a curse, an expression of his purity, he said, "Friends, if one would claim his portion of food that was not lost, as lost may he receive lust-like form. May he consume sensual pleasures. May he die in the household life." In this manner, when cursed by the ascetics, Sakra, the head of gods, being afraid of it, started to think, "These ascetics are quite insulting the sensual pleasures, which is highly praised by worldly people. So I should inquire them the reason." He then came out from his invisibility and, respecting the Bodhisattva the Great, asked, "Venerable Sir, in this world, beings are toiled in various manner to find sensual pleasures. Most of them are delighted in sensual pleasures. But what is the cause and reason for the ascetics to look down upon the sensual pleasures in this manner?" Then the Bodhisattva said, "Shakra, because of sensual pleasures, one is beaten by clubs and bars. It is because of sensual pleasures that one is fettered. It is because of sensual pleasures that one has physical and mental pain and the fear of danger of self-blame, etc. Being deluded by sensual pleasures commits evil deeds with delusion, having done evil after death. Then they are reborn in hell. The sages who know well the ill of sensual pleasures never praise sensual pleasures." Thereafter, Sakra, the head of gods, having admitted his unwholesome deed, asked pardon from the ascetics and went back to their world. The ascetics too developed jhana and after death were reborn in the Brahma world. Reflecting the qualities of the Buddha, etc., are the factor of the practitioners to arouse unworldly rapture. So above Jataka's story, the Bisa Jataka as Bodhisattva and his brothers and sister and maid and all others express their ideas about the sensual pleasures, and they curse to have the sensual pleasures those who are stolen. So it shows how danger the sensual pleasures according to their standpoints, since they were strictly practicing the spirituality. Then the second factor, the reflecting the qualities of the Buddha, is also reason to develop the unworldly happiness or the rapture, which is one of the enlightenment factors that we are discussing today. Are the factors of are the factors for the practitioners to arouse unworldly rapture. Of them, also recollecting the qualities of the Buddha specifically arouse rapture and enthusiasm. The practitioners normally respect the triple gem 2-3 times a day. That moment is a very good opportunity to arouse rapturous bliss of the qualities of the Buddha. Buddhalambana Pritiya. Those who respect by reciting the stanzas like Itipiso Bhagava Araham, which are the condensed and profound forms of the qualities of the Buddha and of difficult to understand and cannot arouse rapture. Rapture arises only when you understand the meanings of the qualities what you are reciting and thinking. Pali stanzas are good for those who can use Pali as their mother tongue. Those who do not Pali should use the passages of the qualities of the Buddha composed in their own languages. There are many kinds of stanzas, verses, poems, songs, and passages in many books which describe the qualities of the Buddha. Of them, by reciting whatever more delightful to oneself or composed by oneself, one can arouse rapture of the Buddha, of the qualities more and more. So it is about the Buddhanusati, recollecting the virtues of the Supreme Buddha. So we know the qualities, like there are 9 qualities of the Buddha virtues, like Ipiso Bhagava Arahang Samma Sambuddho. As mentioned here, you can develop rapture when you understand what you recite, like Pali, or even in your mother tongue, if you can recite the virtues, the qualities of the Buddha, that you can develop this particular Bojjhanga, the Piti. So it is very important to develop the Piti, to develop the Bojjhangas, the factor of enlightenment and all the spiritual qualities. So this Buddhanusati, or the recollecting the qualities or the virtues of the Supreme Buddha, is also very important to develop the rapture. Contemplation of one's own virtues is also something to be done by practitioners. At least once a day. For a monk, though it is quite difficult to refrain from even the slightest fault, if one can maintain the higher ordination for a long time without falling into a grave offense, that is a great thing. Contemplating of one's own past, like, I have been maintaining my higher ordination for this much of time without destroying it. One could be surely rapturous. Since the virtue of higher ordination is a virtue with many training precepts, it is difficult and rare to find those who can protect the virtue without being guilty of any single violation or of precepts for life. Forget about the ordinary persons. From time to time, even the arahants fall into minor offenses. Many practitioners do not care of the many training precepts maintained by them. Instead, just become remorseful of only several precepts that were broken. One should not be in the habit of remorseful of the precepts that were broken, but should be delightful of the precepts that are maintained. then only one can be rapturous through virtue. If wise enough, every monk who has not committed grave offences can arouse rapture by contemplating of his virtue. So reflecting on virtue, the qualities is also one of the factors that we can develop the rapture. So it is about the monks who are practicing the virtues or the precepts being a monk for a long time. It is itself a very good reason to be happy or to develop the rapture. Even as mentioned here, not concentrating the precepts that are broken, instead that he can contemplate the precepts that one protect and develop the rapture. Today, it has become a very bad practice of many among both laypersons and the monastic that if a monk committed even a slight wrong, that is taken again and again and quite exaggeratedly and make a mountain out of a molehill. Then having tarnished all good qualities of him and disgrace him with the label of immoral, dussila. In this dispensation, the term immoral is given only to the person who has committed a grave offense and completely destroyed his monkhood. In the time of the Buddha, there were two monks named Assaji and Punabbasuka who did many wrong things, like sitting on the same seat with women, sleeping with them, with the women on the same bed, eating with them in the same plate, dancing with them, and spreading their robes for them to dance on the robes, eating after lunch, drinking intoxicants, etc. Even these monks were not labeled as immoral in the code of discipline, Vinaya. According to the Parajika Pali of the Book of Discipline, they have been named as Alajjino Papabhikku, means shameless evil monks, blackmarking them as immoral. Dussila for the monks who commit some simple offences like keeping some money or travelling on a bullock cart, etc., is to be said that a more greater offence than that of theirs. The wrong concept that the monk who commits even a slightest wrong is immoral is found even among some forest dwellers as well. Even the monks living in the woods cannot protect their virtue without committing anything wrong forever. Sometimes for those practitioners who live in the woods, as they themselves fall into wrong deeds, have no rapture on their own virtue. The practitioners should learn how to be rapturous by contemplating their own virtue, by eliminating wrong concepts, and not being remorseful of, if any wrong thing done, but be delighted of what one is maintained as virtue. One has to threat for the offense which done by oneself. If it is impossible to threat as needed, one should intend to threat it wherever possible. That intention should not be abandoned. All, by both monastic and laities, should practice giving gifts too. Since the practitioners do not earn well, they have no wealth to be given. But they offer flowers, lights, etc. to the triple gem. They are also considered as gifts, thinking I have offered this much of flowers and this much of lights. The practitioners can arouse rapture of what have been gifted in this manner. Today, some forest dwelling monastic practitioners gain things even more than the monks dwelling in the cities and villages. Therefore, they can practice generosity from what they gain in this manner. Those who gain little, though gives a little, the merits that gain would not be a little. That will not be second to dana, given by the richest. Therefore, the practicing monk whose dana given through which he collects as alms through a little, it is to be said that it is worth of 1,000. If he finds a recipient, even the monk who collects alms from others can give arouse a great rapture, like the great Bodhisattva, the ascetic Akirti. So there, so far that we have discussed a number of factors to develop the rapture, the piti, has discussed the virtues of the Buddha, recollecting the virtues of the Buddha, and recollecting one's own virtues. As discussed here, it is very important to recollecting one's own virtues. So as we've discussed so far, it is said that we should be able to contemplate the good what we have done or what we do, not the sometimes maybe precepts that we broke or something like that. So it is that we have to be very smart to think in the right way to develop the rapture about our own behaviors. It does not simplify your wrongdoings while you are trying to best not to break precepts and do wrong things. At the same time, you should be able to happy about what you do, the virtues, and you collecting good merits. Then recollecting the qualities or the virtues of the Dhamma and Sangha is also briefly mentioned as factors that we can develop the rapture. So the rapture is very important to do whatever the meritorious deeds that we do, maybe practice dana or practice sila, or all these virtues that we can practice easily when we have this specific bujjanga called piti. So the practicing generosity is also one of the factors that we can develop the rapture. So here mention about the monks who can practice the generosity, like offering the Buddha puja and something like that. So the lay people also can develop this the rapture or the piti about whatever the merits that they do. So there is a story about ascetic, the Bodhisattva ascetic Akirti, who had practiced the generosity and developed the rapture. So let's see the story. The story of the great ascetic Akirti. Pandit Akirti, having donated his inherited 8 billion wealth from his parents, went to the island named Ahideepa and built a hermitage and lived there. He did not go anywhere else to collect his food, but lived in the island eating the fruits named kara. While there are fruits on the trees and the same kind of leaves, kara colored, when there are no fruits on the tree, it was because of the power of the virtue the head of the gods, Sakka, himself came to know about him, as his special seat was unusually warmed up at a time. When surveyed, he saw this serious ascetic being quite afraid of whether this ascetic was going to grab his position as the head of gods. When the great Bodhisattva was about to take his meal as cooked kara leaves, he came there to beg, pretending to be a Brahmin. Having seen the Brahmin for alms, the Bodhisattva thinking, oh, this is a great opportunity to me. It was after a long time I got a recipient. He gave all leaves that were in the bowl, even without keeping any for his consumption. When giving, he had only one inspiration, that was nothing but the attainment of supreme enlightenment. The Brahmin, having received it, disappeared. Bodhisattva did not cook anything thereafter for the second time for him. He enjoyed rapture of giving. Next day he cooked kara leaves and was waiting at the door. Sakka, the head of gods, also came to collect alms. That day too, the Bodhisattva offered all leaves what he had cooked for him and spent the day without any food. For the third day also he cooked only kara leaves, only thing that he had. And while anticipating, the Brahmin reached there without any hesitation. Though he took no meal for the consecutive 2 days, he offered all without leaving any for him. As he was so delighted with his practicing of generosity, for 3 days without having any food, Sakka appeared as Sakka and inquired about the Bodhisattva. Afterwards, being so elated and granting him several permissions, he went to the Deva bird. The Bodhisattva was so delighted by giving such a simple dana, even without any spice or at least salt, than giving the 8 billion wealth inherited from his parents. It was because of that rapture that he could do so even without taking any food for 3 consecutive days. Through this story, one can easily understand that it is possible for a practitioner to be rapturous by giving even a very simple thing than a rich person who gives a great dana spending thousands in money. So as he said, he was happy more than giving 8 billion by giving just those specific leaves called karakola for consecutive 3 days. That was he was so happy, and he gained the great rapture by practicing that generosity. One has to avoid associating with the persons who are rough and tough and associate with the gentle-hearted persons. Here, those who are rough and tough are the persons with full of hate, jealousy, conceit, and always hot-tempered, suppress, deceitful, and despise others. The person who associates with such persons is always oppressive. That is a hindrance for rapture. It is difficult for such a person who lives with fear and doubt to arouse rapture by recollecting the qualities of the Buddha, etc. Therefore, deviating from such persons is cause for the factor of enlightenment of rapture. As we've discussed for the previous virtues as well, avoiding the bad people or those who are not keen to practice spiritual qualities is not going to, avoiding those people can be a reason to develop these spiritual qualities. As the Supreme Buddha always advised not to associate with fools. The person who likes the welfare of others has compassion, loving friendliness, and associate with good persons mainly because of the blessings that he received from them and dare to lend ears to them, always become rapturous. Therefore, associating with such a person is a cause for the factor of enlightenment of rapture. So, associating right people, those who are keen to develop these spiritual qualities, is also a very important factor to develop this bojjhanga, which is called rapture.
Bante,
And is
so in this pursuit of contemplating on your own virtues, is there a risk that will be nourishing our egos and our ego will get bigger, which is not
no, that we have to contemplate in right way, like all the time. Not only this, whenever there's a possibility to do something wrong, that we can think in that way, like about ourselves, who we are, what we do, and what is going to happen if we don't do these things. Like, it's not developing ego. For example, like when we even practice loving kindness meditation, we do wish our own well-being. So we have to do it in right way. Always develops ego in the unwholesome way that we think. It is always lean to develop the defilements. But in this way, the right way, when you think in that way, it does not develop the ego.
Thank you, Bante.
And even the Buddha and the great Arhantas, they also had deal with based on the self-identity. So we have to be clear about how to use those ways to develop the virtues and avoid the unwholesome.
Thank you, Bante.
Yeah. Yes, then contemplating on the discourses which are conducive to confidence, like the talks or the sutras, which are include the qualities of the Buddha and the Dhamma and the Sangha. So those contemplating about those discourses, the factors included in them, is also a factor to develop the rapture, like the Ratana Sutra. There are so many sutras or the discourses which have the qualities of the Noble Triple Gem. When we contemplate them, we can develop the rapture. Then the always having the mindset to develop these virtues is also a reason to develop these the bojjhangas and all the other virtues. So these are the factors that we discussed so far. Let's remind once again. So firstly, we've discussed the wise attention, the yoniso manasikara, thinking in the right way. Then repeatedly recollecting the great virtues of the Buddha, repeatedly recollecting the great virtues of the Dhamma, then repeatedly recollecting the great virtues of the Sangha, repeatedly recollecting one's virtues, repeatedly recollecting one's generosity, repeatedly recollecting one's confidence, repeatedly recollecting one's calmed defilements, disassociating from the evil persons, associating with gentle-hearted persons, contemplating on the discourses which are conducive to confidence, or the saddha, the mind inclined to the factor of enlightenment of rapture. So these are the factors. Some of them we just briefly discuss, and some of them we discuss in detail as a Jataka story that we learn. So anything to be discussed or clarified?
No, Bante, I think it's clear.
Yes. Then I think the next one that we can discuss next week. Is it okay?
Yes, Bante.
Yes. Otherwise, there may be too much information.
Yes.
Okay. Then let's wind up our Dhamma discussion today. So we've discussed about the rapture and what are the factors and causes to develop the enlightenment of rapture, the Piti Sambujjhanga. So I invite you to read these text again and again and listen the talks about these the Bujjangas, and then you can clarify more and learn more how to develop these the Bujjangas. So today, by discussing these noble Dhamma that we all generated so many wholesome thoughts in our hearts, so let's transfer, let's dedicate these merits to our departed relatives. Idammi ñāti nang hotu sukita huntu ñātayo. Idammi ñāti nang hotu sukita huntu ñātayo. Idammi ñāti nang hotu sukita huntu ñātayo. Let's transfer the merits to the Devas as well. May all the deities accept these merits and may protect all of us. Dhāvatā ca amhehi sambhatang punya sampadang sabbe deva anumodantu sabba sampatti siddhya. Dhāvatā ca amhehi sambhatang punya sampadang sabbe deva anumodantu sabba sampatti siddhya. Dhāvatā ca amhehi sambhatang punya sampadang sabbe deva anumodantu sabba sampatti siddhya. By the power of all the merits that we generated by discussing and learning the Dhamma, may all these merits lead us to supreme bliss of Nibbana. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Sadhu, sadhu. Lots of merit to you, Bante.
Terun
Teruvan Saranai.
Terun Saranai.
Lots of merit to you, Bante. Terun Saranai.
Terun Saranai.